I'm going to call the June 15th, 2022 Mashpee Public Schools School Committee Business Meeting to order. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I also want to say that the Mashpee Public Schools recognize and honor the many generations of Wampanoag people who have lived and been sustained on this territory for more than 10,000 years. Next, we need to ratify tonight's agenda. There's a slight change from the original packet that went out. We will not have an update from the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe tonight since we just met with them last week. And we allocated some time for the Amanda Howell debrief, since it was originally not allocated any time. So those are just the only two things that I've noted. Also, Representative Vieira is unable to attend in person tonight. So accepting those changes, are there any others that folks are aware of or would like to make? Then I will take a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion to approve the
Okay.
agenda tonight.
Motion by Matt, do you have a second?
I'll second.
By Kathy. Any discussion? All right, Brian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Do we have any public comment? We do. All right. Let's see. Well, I think.
There were people who signed up before me.
Okay, so first would be Dan Patno.
But do I want to wait, do I speak now on it, or do I wait till because that's on the agenda?
Oh, I think we have you on the agenda, Dan.
So it's okay then? I don't know whether I'm supposed to sign up beforehand or not, that's why I did it.
Oh, no, that's kind of you. But...
So 3 of the people have signed up to speak about the Florida trip.
Oh, okay.
If they can come up with you.
Sure,
I think it's
Okay.
6 people.
thank you.
And then Mr. Mahan has signed up to speak about robotics.
Oh.
So you do get to go to the top of the line.
It's had its privileges, huh? Craig Mahan, 62 Old Colony Drive, father of Karen, Katrina, and Eve Mahan, and husband of Maria Mahan. Thank you to the school committee, Superintendent DeBoer, and Assistant Superintendent Hanskin for covering the costs of registration and coaches' travel to the World's competition in Texas. I want to bring to your light, I want you to think about some of the things that I'm about to mention when Mrs. Howe presents this evening. 2 teams went to the Worlds and basically were top 250 out of 29,000 teams in the world. So one is thank you to John Ware, he's in the building. His hours spent supervising and giving knowledge and counseling and coding and building and strategy, countless hours. And he was there when Mrs. Howe was able to make some of the competitions, or her time was split between other competitions. He was an excellent coach, great volunteer. Thank him immensely. And then thank you to Mrs. Howe. Most of the time you guys don't get to hear this, but she comes in early on Wednesday mornings. She stays late on Wednesday afternoons, many countless hours on other times. She's available by text for the kids and for the parents. She's supervised at the We Are Mashpee store, as has Mr. Ware. She's written grants to get funding for the materials for some of this stuff that you're going to see. She's requested from Mr. Looney money for the needs for the Robotics Club. She's been doing this for multiple years, and without her passions, this robotics program and the world's experience would not be possible. She spearheaded the competition at the Mashpee High School that some of you attended. And on a side note, the 2 teams that went to Worlds, they could have teamed up and tried to win the competition, but they had already qualified for regionals, so they decided to see if they could get other teams that hadn't qualified for regionals into regionals for that competition. The parents realize how important this program is to their child's education, and Mrs. Howe is integral to that education. With all this being said, Mr. Myers made the point when the teams were asking for funding to cover the Worlds. This program has no budget currently Fortunately, the funds have come from other items in the tech budget. Now I think is the time for the school committee to give a dedicated budget to these items, similar to athletics. You've seen the results. You've seen the how it is in the news to the town and to the school. The program is bringing great attention to the school, and it's growing. They've had 25 students from grades 7 to 12, along with starter programs in Washington School that have at least 12 students, and it's expanding to the Coombs School this fall. If school can pay for athletic equipment in the field and a track that's $2.7 million for student athletes, then I think $25,000 for the robotics equipment and the club is a small amount to sustain the program and keep it as the best on Cape Cod, one of the best in the state, and one of the best in the world. Thank you.
I always get nervous when people quote.
Somebody found something. One of them occasionally, right?
Right, thank you so much. So, yes.
That's the same things.
So we are going to get to Ms. Howell in a moment, but first we have the recognition of our retirees, which Patty is going to help us with. Yes.
We do have,
Can I hold this one?
And like I said last night, I'm not going to sing. Anyway, we have a great group of dedicated Mashpee educators, staff members who have retired or are retiring in this fiscal year. So some of our members have already left us and they're enjoying their retirement, and some have until next Thursday, the 23rd of June. Which I will point out, had we not had some October storms and a few other snow days, tomorrow would have been our last day of this school year, which would have been a treat, but whatever. So, I do want to read the names of our retirees and their years. I'm also going to read one of the declarations from the House of Representatives for one of our members here. They basically do say pretty much the same thing. But first of all, I want to acknowledge those members that are here. So we have Sandra Albarrico, and she has worked for Mashpee for 34 years. You can stand up, we want to know who you are. She currently works at the Coombs School. But I know personally of her time where she might have taught fifth, she might have taught PE. She's currently second, third, yes, third, many years third. So she's moved around a little bit, so thank you for everything that you've done for Mashpee students. We also have Joanne Arnold here. She has been with us for 17 years. She is a retired educator from another life, where she then came and did another 17 years with us as a paraprofessional at Mashpee Middle High School, a wonderful inclusion para because she kind of knows her stuff. And she was able to retire in January, so she has already gotten the retirement glow that definitely, we notice, appears on those who have retired. So I'm glad Joanne is here tonight. We also have Susan Bryant sitting, you can stand up. She is completing 21 years. She is still with us till next Thursday. She is also a paraprofessional at Mashpee Middle High School and has made many important relationships with our kids and definitely with her colleagues, so she's going to be missed. She has a glow, but she hasn't gotten the retirement glow yet. And let's see, we have Mary Crimmins is here. She has 29 years with the district. She has also taught in at least 2 schools, maybe back in the day when we had 3 schools within 2 buildings, she's probably taught in 3. She definitely started in 5th grade, right? Yeah. And now you're first, second. So she's done a lot of things. Many people may have had her as a teacher. She is one of those teachers that definitely leaves a mark inside of the students and the families. So she's going to be missed. I understand she has adventures planned for Maine. However, she's teaching summer school, so she needed a little bit more dose before she severs her ties here with us. We also have Kim Palmer, who is finishing 33 years with the district. She has been the art teacher at the Coombs School. Did you open the Coombs School?
I did. I was here the first year, and I had to teach down at the town hall for kindergarten.
Oh.
Yeah, way back then, we were overgrown.
So you were you're the only art teacher the Coombs School has ever known.
Yeah.
Yes, wow. And I will say, Kim is the one of the most creative people. And
Yes.
every year, she took the lead in learning technology and integrating it with art, but she comes up with some of the most creative projects every year, and so you have finished strong. I will say that you are just the same as you were 10, 15, 20 years ago, so it's an awesome time. And I think our only other retiree is Jackie Restalis from the Quashnet School. She spent 21 years here in Mashpee in special education. I had the joy of co-teaching with Jackie when I was a 6th grade teacher. I think we co-taught math. She's moved around a few grades as well, but she's definitely a gift to not only the students that she works with, which tend to be sometimes students that have skill deficits, but also her colleagues, because she's just knows her stuff. She's a great resource for any of us who had the pleasure and to be able to work with you. So, but she definitely has every time. So reading the list of others that are not here, Amy Campbell is not here. She's completing 21 years, Quashnet School Special Education. Sean Checoin from the high school was a math teacher. He left in November, and he was 20 years with Mashpee. Ellen DeMello and Gail Hannon were both central office employees. Ellen did 22 years, and Gail did 20. They left partway through the year. Dan Leader, who has 14 years with the district, this I think is his 3rd retirement in terms of careers, because he's got the Navy and he had something else. But he's ill this week, so he wasn't able to join us, so we're going to miss him. Sean O'Connor from this school, 19 years. He's also done many different roles, 4th grade enrichment, 5th grade, 6th grade, and he will be greatly missed. Gus Stickley, which we were able to acknowledge in our May meeting. He did 10 years with the district as our food services director. Ellen Wechter was an administrative assistant who worked in Mashpee for 20 years. She left in October. Her last sort of station was Mashpee Middle High School. And then Sean Whittington, school adjustment counselor in this school for 12 years. He left at the midpoint of January, I believe. He did come back for graduation with Kiki, and I should acknowledge Kiki. We didn't give her a certificate, but she did at least 10 years with us, and we had to get her oriented first and trained. But anyway, Sean came back to play in the recent floor hockey game, and he came back at graduation to see the kids ahead of time in the cafeteria. So we have the best staff in the Mashpee Public Schools. I'm partial to all of them, but I just can't thank you all enough who are here and our retirees for really the service and dedication to the students and the families. It really does take a connected community to make sure our kids get everything they need, but you are sort of the frontline people that really recognize what our kids need and then advocate for that. And so I really appreciate all that you've done for us. And you're part of my professional life tapestry, so I'm going to definitely miss all of you. So I really appreciate you being here. I'm going to read one of the proclamations. I feel like I should have some kind of a bell and some kind of special clothing for this, but Commonwealth of Massachusetts House of Representatives, be it hereby known, see that's where the bell part. Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to, and I'm reading Sandra Albarrico's, to Sandra Albarrico in recognition of your 34 years of dedicated service to the Mashpee Public Schools and our entire community. Enjoy your retirement. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Given this 15th day of June 2022 at the State House, Boston, Massachusetts, by Ronald Mariano, Speaker of the House, offered by David Vieira, State Representative. So we do have a little parting gift for all of you. So I'll have you come up. We'll give you your certificate. We do want a picture of everyone who is here, and we also want the school committee to have a picture with you, but I want to offer any members of the school committee an opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you very much. Some of you, my children have actually had throughout the years and had the experience of interacting with to stay involved in the district and the different roles that you've been in. It just means a lot that you like all of you at least had Gus had the least with 10 over a decade of time with the school district, and that says something about liking where you're working and making an impact on us. So thank you very much for all your time.
I just want to echo what Matt said. I mean, Mrs. Palmer, I don't know if you remember, but I remember having you as an art teacher. So it's kind of like, oh, know, my daughter's had a couple of you sitting there as well, so, you know, I can't say enough about what all of you do for our students day in and day out, and, you know, it's noble work, and I hope you all enjoy your well-deserved and well-earned retirement, so thank you for everything.
Brian?
I just want to say Katabaton Tamawish, which is a formal way of saying thank you in the language, to all of our educators, especially some of you that I had the pleasure of working with when I worked for the town as a custodian, and talking to Mrs. Palmer about, you know, remembering Mr. Coombs and when we did the dedication for the school, and checking in with Ms. Crimmins and talking about her children and all the great things that everyone's doing, and Ms. Albarrico. So it was a pleasure to work with you all, and I wish you all the best in your next endeavors.
Don?
So I would just like to say thank you for your dedication and service. You know, the cumulative knowledge that you've amassed here and experience with Mashpee, I think will be a supreme challenge for the superintendent and assistant superintendent to find qualified individuals to even try to fill your shoes going forward. And I wish you each the best in your future endeavors, and the door will always be here open at Mashpee in case you decide that you miss us and want to come back.
As we're looking for them to sign up to be substitutes.
Yeah.
Get you partially back.
Nobody seems to do that though.
Well,
Thank you.
it's obvious that we have so much gratitude for the dedication of our teachers. You know, 4 of us have children that have had 1 or more of you as during our time in school, so we all have personal relationships with you guys. And as far as the time you spent with our children, I just want to say you're welcome. Because, you know, they're awesome. But no, actually, I feel like you know, there are stories still in my house about some of you, one in particular who made quite an impression on my daughter, and I feel like that's just a testament to how much of yourself that you give every day, and that's like one of those renewable resources, because what you give out, you know, you get back, and we all benefit from it. So thank you so much. We're gonna really miss you guys, and I hope you won't be a stranger. Please show up whenever you want. All right, so
Photo, so if we can have the retirees that are here for one group, and then we'll add the school committees to the next.
who are you gonna trust to take the photo?
Well, the one of just retirees on
I'm happy to see you.
Okay, ready? I know, you guys on this end are like very coordinated.
Should we see a split up the black and white?
If you like.
Oh, yeah.
A bit of a uniform there.
Okay. Oh, see, everyone's. Did you have any? Yes. So Mackenzie had some of you, I believe, so.
Yeah.
She went through. All right, everybody smile. Okay, so school committee's gonna join you. Maybe shift a little forward so we have more running space.
Where would you like me to take that?
I know you usually have to go to the back.
No,
somewhere.
we're gonna go to the back.
Brian always should get the review of that.
Okay, folks, ready? Here we go, 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna take one more, 1, 2, all good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming over.
Thank you, Patty, that was really nice. Okay, so next we are, oh, there you are. When I saw you earlier, you were behind the monitor, so I was kind of waiting for you to appear. Ms. Howe, we would love to hear about how things went in Texas.
Do you want me to take the microphone? I don't know.
Yes, I think we need it for the TV.
Is it on? No.
Should have
Is
the
the
blue light.
on? You have to hold the tab down.
I think it's on now. Okay. All right.
It's not on.
It's not on?
Left, is it supposed to go?
Is it on? Hunter, help me.
There it is.
Hello?
Do you want mine?
Okay.
I apologize if it like makes a crazy noise. Your fault.
Hello? Okay. Hi, my name is Amanda Howe. I'm the robotics coach for Mashpee Middle High School. And first I would like to start by giving a huge thank you to the Mashpee Public Schools, the school committee, our administration, our staff, and really the town of Mashpee. You guys really got behind our team from the day it started, and the support that you gave to this group of kids this past few months and year has just been amazing. It just almost brings a tear to my eye to know how much was given in support of them and just well wishes, and it's been really awesome. They are here, and I'd like them to come out and join me so that you can see them and hear from them. And we have a really brief presentation, and I would be completely remiss if I didn't thank our parents and families and John Ware for all of their support of our kids. We really have become a family, I think, the robotics team. We travel together now, and really these kids owe a huge debt of gratitude to their families and how much they have supported them. So just to kind of see their what they accomplished in May of 2022 at the VEX Worlds. So as Craig Mahan mentioned, 820 teams competed at Worlds. That's approximately 29,000 registered teams worldwide, but only 820 made it. 2 of the teams were ours, and we were the only ones from Cape Cod. 15 teams made it from Massachusetts. And I want you to understand that when 15 teams make it from Massachusetts, half of those teams are from private boarding schools. They're not public high schools like us. And that's huge. I mean, you think about the time commitment that those kids are able to have being in a boarding school and the access that they can have. And that makes a huge difference on your level of competition and your ability to play. Just in time. So for us, a huge godsend for us was having Mrs. Carroll allow us to put the ring at the We Are Mashpee store. And having access to that ring, especially when, the pandemic shut so much down, we didn't skip a beat. I mean, that just allowed us to keep on going between Mr. Ware, myself, the parents, supervising. And I can say to you that with the schedule changes that are occurring, and I know those are a different conversation, but I want you to know that store being available to us is going to be huge. We're going to need it again because these kids, multiple times when they're in the school during a directed study, they're with the 7th graders, which I don't know where mine is, but the younger robotics students, and they're showing them what to do. They're mentoring to them. And having that time during the school day is huge because they all have lives outside of the day. So asking them to stay after school and be here in the morning, not everyone can make it. But when we're there during the day, that's a great opportunity for them to share their knowledge and make it more sustainable for the future. So the We Are Mashpee store gives us access. It gives us time with, outside of the school day too, when maybe it's, meeting at 7 o'clock at night if we have to, or meeting on a Saturday. So we really appreciate that. 10 divisions competed at the VEX World, and we finished in approximately the top 250, and we made it to elimination rounds. Which I know if you don't know the robotics world, it doesn't mean much, but that's usually the goal, to make it to elimination rounds. If you win, that's great, but making it to elimination rounds is a big deal. And the aviators won the Inspire Award, which only 10 were given away worldwide, because there was 10 divisions, and every division had one Inspire Award winner. So here's just a kind of a picture. It's really fun. The kids get to dress up. You know, we've got balloons for them because they have a booth competition for like decorating your booth. And we didn't know that. And so it was like race to get, you know, balloons, not have a rental car, so get Uber to deliver them. But we did it. It was so much fun. And they just were great. So this is them in their divisions, and so we have, you know, Jamie Hughes, Katrina Mann of the Aviators, Camden Perry, Sean Ware, Ethan Liu, and Sam Johnson, who's not here, for Out of Stock. And then, I'm hoping, I kind of wanted you to be able to see what a match looks like. And so it might be a little blurry, but let's hope this works.
I might have to use them.
They are 63, 85, 70 is in Delta.
This is Out of Stock competing. I apologize, I yell a lot.
Introduce the Blue Alliance once we get started. Match is underway in 3, 2, 1, go.
So there's an autonomous component that's 15 seconds long, and then they play a minute 45 of live driving. To give you an idea, each division had 3 rings running. 10 divisions, so like 30 teams were prepping and playing constantly.
1:45 on the clock. Let's meet our Blue Alliance team.
So there was 3 of these rings, and that's just one division. And then they have bleacher seats set up in this big convention hall. And then they have pits in another area where the kids actually can tweak and change their robots and, you know, do last minute repairs if necessary. They had rings also set up where they practiced and did skills and practice runs. So it was huge. It was a big, huge convention center. So that kind of gives you the idea on that one. And I'm going to just pause this for a minute and go on to the next one. So this was... This was just courtesy of Maireith Main, who wanted to kind of give you an idea of the perspective of the expansiveness. That's what was going on. There was literally miniature stadiums within the convention center. And we, the parents, got our exercise because our 2 teams don't compete in the same division. So they were in Spirit and they were in Innovate, right? And so they would play, and then 2 minutes later, we had a schedule. We kept it all on our phones, and we just went back and forth between the stadiums. They were luckily only a stadium over from each other, 1 or 2, so it wasn't too bad. But that's to give you kind of just a scale. This is the girls competing for a few minutes so we can show the Aviators. Or we could call them the Frogs because they wore green frog hats. There's a costume competition there. So the kids also can dress up, and they have like costumes, and they get awards for mascots and stuff like that. They also had a huge opening ceremonies that was just amazing with a parade of nations that represented all the different countries with the teams. They came out with their flags. The kids were typically dressed up kind of culturally to represent their heritage. They had the president from Google there to talk, the president from the REC Foundation there to talk. They gave out awards to different volunteers, and it was all done with lights. It was really professional. It was really awesome. So that was at the opening ceremonies. And then, so here's just them kind of getting ready to compete. And then here's when they won their award, which was, you know, and I can let the girls talk to you. It was kind of funny, you know, we were done. They had actually lost their matches, and so, you know, at the end they give out awards, and so sometimes you wonder if they're going to get it or not, but we figured, oh, you know, might not be the case. But we were hoping, so Katrina and Jamie, they were sitting in there. Katrina says to me, I started to hear the numbers, 6, 3, 8, 5, and then she was like, oh my gosh, like, we're winning this award. And the parents had kind of walked away, so we like just barely got to see them win. But we did, so we were really excited for them. And to give you an idea, the Inspire Award is presented to a team that, as Katrina likes to say, has social skills. But it's more than that. Because they talk to other teams and they show them what to do and they strategize. But really, like, they're a model team. Not only do they know how to be respectful and polite and strategize with their other team members, but they compete at a high level. And they're able to, like, play the game really well. I mean, I think it's almost better than winning it all, because it says that you're just a really good person. It talks about your character. So I was really impressed with them. This year's accomplishments: 2 teams to Worlds, 6 teams attended Southern New England Regionals. All 6 teams, the 3 high school and the 3 middle school teams, all went to Southern New England Regionals. That's unusual. And that is a tribute to these juniors, because they help bring the lower kids up, bring the younger kids up. They show them what needs to be done. They tell them how to run skills. They help them to program. And they instill in them what's needed to move on. And that's really awesome. We hosted our first VEX Robotics competition, and that was a lot. It was hard. Between the pandemic, we really thank Mrs. DeBoer for allowing it to happen during a school day. We brought in teams from around Massachusetts. We have both a VRC and an IQ team, and as Mr. Mahan said, was at a birthday party for one of my kids and talked to a paraprofessional at KCC who's really interested in doing robotics, and I hope that I can come back here next year and tell you we have a K-12 vertically aligned robotics program.
Can you just explain for us who aren't familiar with the vernacular, the VCR and IQ?
So VRC is the high school level of VEX robotics competition, and that uses a different platform of robots. And it uses like metal and aluminum and nuts and bolts. And then there's IQ, which is kind of more similar to like your Lego. You know, they snap in, snap out, they're plastic. But believe it or not, they can both be programmed with block, but you can also get into text programming at the VRC level. And then at KCC, we're hoping to get VEX Go, which is a smaller robot, doesn't take as much to build, and it starts with some block coding. I think it would be really great. Many parents say to me all the time, when are you going to get robots at KCC? Like, when can they don't want to wait till 5th grade. Kids just want to get involved as soon as they can. We're anticipating adding at least 2 more middle school teams next year. Next Tuesday, we're hosting an open house from 4 to 6 p.m. for the Quashnet kids to come over here that are current 6th graders on the VEX IQ team. We're going to have them up so they can meet their teammates, see the game be played, and actually get parts so they can start to build over the summer. So they'll come in, running in September. And last but not least, we're about to, this picture represents 21. So we're 21 strong and growing. I anticipate we'll probably hit the 30 mark next year. I want to just say thank you to Craig for, making public comment. I'm so grateful to all the money that we've had. It's just, we're thinking about sustainability. And we grew so fast. I mean, we really just blew up. And Mashpee has never said no once to the robotics team, and I am so grateful for that. But we need to just think in the future, how do we continue to grow and offer to everybody that comes? Because we don't say no to anyone. Anyone who wants to join the team does, and we keep it really small. I mean, 4 is like the max that we put on a team, because we want everyone to have a great experience. You start putting 5 to 8 kids, not everyone's doing something, and that's no fun. So I'd like to turn it over to the kids. You guys want me to give a few minutes, say anything? There are very few words to say. Want to talk about your experience for a minute?
Yeah, so first I'd just like to thank Ms. Howe, our parents who have supported us so much, and the school board and Mr. Boer, and our principal. So to start, I'd just like to say what influence going to Worlds has had on us. So, yeah, 800 teams. It was insane to go in. We were some of our matches we were teamed up with teams from England. There were teams that we met from Mexico and all over the place, and it was really cool to see people from all these different backgrounds, as well as people that have come up with all these different designs and ways to take on and engineer their robots to do the game. Yeah, so this is our new robot. Just started building it, but it has been a week in the making, and it goes to show how much going there influenced us, because when we got home, we were so ready and so excited to get going on the new one, because at the end of the competition, there's this huge closing ceremony, and they show you what game you're going to be playing next year. And that's definitely one of the biggest highlights of going to Worlds, is getting to go and see that in person, and like just fireworks and everything going off, and it's really cool. And you're surrounded by thousands of other students that are really excited to keep the journey going. So yeah, we're started, girls are started, and our program is looking really good so far, and we're really excited to see what happens over the summer. And then the last thing I want to say is just about the girls team, because at Southern New England Regionals, they worked really hard and they just barely missed qualifying there. So when
5 points.
yeah, so unfortunate. But when they got the invitation to Worlds, we were all so ecstatic, and I just like to recognize them for how hard they worked to not only qualify but do really well and be one of the best in their divisions, and even bring home an award. So I just want to recognize them for that.
Yeah, just to kind of reiterate everything John said, of like, it was incredible to go. We were teamed up with teams from mostly the United States because, you know, COVID, but there were a few teams from Canada, there were a team from Taiwan, and it was just really, really incredible. I said to Jamie at one point, I was like, look around, like, everybody here is a nerd, and it was so awesome. Because the pit area was the size of Mashpee High School. So we had to walk through the entire thing because we have like a really high team number, so we had to walk through the entire thing every time we wanted to get to a match. And there were just so many nerds, and it was so cool. Because, you know, this is pretty much the nerd population of Mashpee High School standing in front of you. So it was just really, really amazing and incredible, and I can't thank Mrs. Howe and Mr. Ware and all of our parents enough, because we were like, hey, you want to take us to Texas? And they were like, yeah, sure. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. We just flew to Texas, which is kind of crazy. That's halfway across the world, the country. But, yeah, and just awesome stuff from Sean's team and awesome stuff from the teams that are coming up. So, it's really fun.
I think it's really impressive, and I just want to say, they're home a month, and they already have their robots prototyped for a season that starts. Technically, when the game comes out at Worlds in May, they won't compete until October. And they already have a prototype. And we had every single team there today bringing robots home for the summer to build, 7 through 12. So it's pretty cool. Thank you. Any questions?
I have one question.
Sure.
So Sean, when you were here last, I gotta know, how did you guys end up getting the robots there? We talked about buying the Maryline seats.
Yeah, so we got the boxes, and
Yep.
then Miss Howe and her husband took them and checked them on the plane, and we are very grateful for that. Apparently it's quite the hassle, but they got there in one piece,
Yes.
and yeah, after that,
Your dad, Mr. Ware, has some really mad packing skills on robot. Like, thank God, well-trained engineer over there. He came with all the foam, and that was fun because we were over the weight. So we were in UPS where Sam Johnson works at Mashpee Commons. At the night before my flight, Katrina was taking parts off the robot so that we hit the weight limit of under 50 pounds. And then Pat and I at Logan Airport just held our breath. And then I texted everybody, we're all good, they're on the plane, we made it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they have special flight cases that they make for them. Other questions?
oh, should we turn on the robot?
Yeah, turn on.
You can turn it on, but you're gonna shoot it that way.
Okay, yeah, so.
If they wanna see it. Any other questions?
So, this is our new,
So,
oh, sorry,
what
continue.
grade are these two teams in?
So, we're all juniors except for Camden, he's a sophomore.
Sophomore.
Okay, and the girls?
They're juniors as well.
So these are all juniors?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
gonna be seniors next year.
Yeah.
It's okay, we're totally looking up.
Oh yeah, people think we're middle schoolers when we go to competitions.
Yeah, somebody called us 12.
Yeah, so that's pretty great. We're 17, but
When you get my age, you'll appreciate it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so anyways, the goal of this year is to shoot these yellow discs. So, we've been home a year, or not a year, a month. And it's pretty much exactly the same as Frisbee golf, so we have they're like frisbee golf goals, there's the chains that hang down with the baskets, and yeah, the goal is to shoot them in. So yeah, it's been a month, and we're already prototyping how to shoot them, and yeah. All right. Go ahead.
You should have brought these
So the last robotics competition I went to, you were stacking blocks, so that's like not the same every
No.
year, that changes.
No, it changes every year. New game every
Just when you get good, they switch it.
Every year is a new game, and that's another cost. It's about $1,000 to buy the game, and we buy 3 of them now. Since we're hoping to host an October competition in November, so I'll come to see you real soon, and we're hoping to host another one in February. So we're hoping to host 2 competitions next year.
So with that being said, like the QuashNet program and then eventually the School program, I was talking to one parent who's got a student who's a team member, and they were talking about how they noticed other teams had different robots than what they were working at. Is that something that needs to be considered for, like, are you guys working with the best robots, I guess is the question, or is there something?
So I know what you're talking about, the Vex IQ. And so one issue with Vex is every couple of years they come out with a new platform because it's a money maker for them, right? And that's already being addressed. And so, there is another level of Vex IQ, and unfortunately they also offer grants and stuff. So I think that team will be more than taken care of. That's beyond my pay grade, but I get the idea that it's going to be fine.
Just was curious, because like I said, I had a really great conversation with that parent, and I was like, I need to figure that, because I think it's awesome that you guys have done this, so congratulations.
No, I appreciate your understanding. Yeah, it is. It can be a real expense. Every time, just to put a bug in your it's $800 every time we go to compete. So when you see a tweet that says, hey, the team just made it to eliminations on a Saturday, and that happens 6 times in a winter, it's $800 for all 8 teams to go. And thank you so much, because you've never ever said no, but it's expensive.
It's their team, so that's how I do it.
Yeah, but like in football, you don't have to pay every time you go to a game. Matt doesn't have to, it's crazy what Vex puts on the schools, and that's why we compete against a lot of boarding schools.
So I'm curious, at other schools, like public and I guess in private, how's their program handled? Is it handled in a similar manner as what we're doing here in Mashpee, or how's it done?
There's a couple of different ways that schools handle the funding. So some schools have fees, which we're grateful in Mashpee that we don't have. So some schools pay to play robotics. Some schools will say that they'll pay for maybe 2 tournaments per team, and if additional tournaments are wanted to be gone to, like if a team wants to go to an initial tournament, then it's on the families. Some schools will have internal competitions at their school, so if you had 8 teams and you were going to a competition, you'd have an internal competition. Whoever won it would then be able to go, so that can drop like the fee cost down. We haven't had to do any of that, and I hope we never do, because competition, as you can see, makes you better. And if they were to compete against our 7th graders would never go. So that, some teams do that.
I guess the essence of my question though is it handled as a club? Is it handled as a regular program within the scholastic programs of the schools?
So some teams it's a club, but we also have a robotics class, which is separate. So most teams it's a club. Some people have decided to make it an MIAA sport, like to recognize it as that, but that doesn't benefit our team because then you're held by their requirements. And so we've had conversations about that, and some of those requirements don't benefit them being able to compete as much as they want and practice and all of that stuff, right? So I think if, depending on how you're earmarked as you're talking about, the funding is different.
Well, and the requirements
Yes.
become different.
Right, like we can kind of dictate how often they practice and when they practice and all of that, and that's nice.
Right, right now as a club, you have probably the ultimate flexibility. The other formats bring potentially more funding, but also more restrictions.
Exactly.
And more hoops that you have to go through. So, okay. Thank you.
Exactly. And I'm open to any conversations or questions about it, and by no means do I have the answers.
I was just curious what the other 20,000 schools were doing.
Yeah, a lot of it's boarding, and that's a lot more money. We're really fortunate.
We're not gonna start a boarding school. Sorry, guys.
No, I just want to say, like, I think it's really cool that you guys take the time to actually go down to like the middle school students and kind of like teach that too, because like that's how any program sustains itself. Is that progressive, these kids are looking up to you and seeing from last year and then this year you guys going competing, or sorry, the last time you guys got to compete. And I know anytime I see the news too, it's like, oh my gosh, we got a robotics team great here in Mashpee, and it's another thing, it's not like the cookie cutter, well, you only do athletic things, or there's only key club or stamps, or it's another avenue where I know you say nerds, but nerd power, so all for it, yeah, we didn't want everyone to have options, so thank you for doing that, yeah.
No, I just want to reiterate, keep up the great work, and we're really proud of you. And I want to thank, the parents and all the adults and the coaches for supporting you, as well as the community. And thanks for putting Mashpee on the map, and I look forward to next year's program.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much.
Absolutely, thank you guys.
Do you want a quick picture? Because the last time
Yeah, let's get a quick picture.
And I just want to say one other thing too about Ms. Howe. So, it's okay. Well, this goes back to Blue.
Have you guys already?
Oh, did I screw it up?
No, I don't know that. Oh, there we go. So I.
It might take a little longer. Gotta think about it.
Do you name it?
I did screw it up, I'm
No,
sorry.
no, it's
Technology and engineering, right there.
Take some. I just want to add about Ms. Howe, in so many positions within our district, that it's the person in the position that makes a difference. It's not just having the position. So you could have a robotics coach, but her passion for this is what has helped build the program. So I just want to acknowledge it is the person in the position, not just that we have a robotics coach.
Speaking of
Thank you. Yes, get in the picture.
Now let me scooch in here just a little bit. Okay, thank you.
Ready?
All right, thanks, Patty.
Nice job. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Good luck, guys. Make sure you get outside this summer, okay? Yeah.
Sorry.
Get some sun, vitamin D.
It's amazing.
Let me know, but don't feel like you can't reach out through email this summer if you're looking at exercise and you don't know what you want.
Thanks, man, so where's for coming as well.
Yeah, but let me know where you're going.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. And Talia, I've had to wait patiently all this time.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. As I recognize that this is my last report for the school year of 2021 to 2022, I would just like to acknowledge how much of an amazing time and experience that I've had here as the middle school representative. For starters, the award ceremony for middle school and high school just happened last Thursday, and I'd just like to give a congratulations to everyone who worked hard and received an award that evening. It was really nice to see everyone being so supportive in the crowd. Like, all the students were screaming for each other, and it was nice. Another really cool thing that happened this month is on June 9th and 10th, Alex Torres and his Latin orchestra visited our school, working with the strings, band, and chorus on Thursday, and then performing with the band and chorus in front of the middle school and high school on Friday. It was so festive, it was so fun. Everyone was getting out in the aisles and dancing. It was definitely something that I feel like everyone's gonna remember. 2 years from now, we're gonna be remember when that Latin orchestra visited? So I'm really happy that that happened, and a big thanks goes out to Mr. Rumberger. He took the initiative for the planning and orchestrating for the band to come. He was like a big leader in this event, and I just want to give out a thanks to him. On another note, varsity tennis had their second annual Family Fun Meet last Friday, where varsity members received certificates and had a fun time playing with friends and family, which is so fun because I remember when I first did tennis last year, and it was like our first annual family fun meet, and we all had our like parents and friends come, and we would play them in tennis. So like you would have your family member on your side, and then you would go against like a fellow tennis mate and their family, and it was fun because it wasn't like you weren't pressured to win or lose. It was just fun little competitive playing to end off the season. With that, mainly all of the spring sports have ended, including track, which ended last Saturday with the track members who qualified for states making their way there. I have a particular friend who went there, and although she was on the bus for a long time, she had such a fun time and experience, and she's looking forward to trying to qualify next year as well. Student Body Government had their last meeting this year last week. They finally ended up printing out their tickets for the dance, and they had people sign up for times where they could sell the tickets during their lunch periods. The last day of selling tickets was yesterday, but I'm sure that if you stop by her room, you can still buy tickets. Everyone's really excited for the dance because it's the first dance since COVID, so it's going to be very fun. Another group that had their last meeting was National Junior Honor Society. We talked about volunteering opportunities in August for the Falmouth Road Race. So many people are finding which shifts and days that they're going to sign up for, because it's hours that count next year. We're also trying to figure out people for voting for officers for next year, because our current officers are going into 10th grade, so they're not going to be freshmen anymore, which is sadly not in our honor society. So we have to figure out. So we're trying to figure out who's going to be which officer. So we haven't voted yet, but the forms were just posted. So the voting results should be in soon. I'm not worried though, because everyone who's running will be a very capable and awesome leader if they get elected. One thing coming up very soon is the middle school, high school chorus concert. That's this Friday. For parents and family, as well as friends, the concert will be at 7 p.m. Arrival time is 6:30. But there will also be a performance for the middle school and high school during the day, so that if they can't go after school, they can just go watch it during the day. I know a lot of people that are excited for that, especially because it's the last chorus concert. Especially for seniors, they're looking forward to it so much that they're coming back even though they've already graduated to participate. And for them, this is their final concert for high school, so I'm hoping that it's going to be a good memory that they can make. Another thing finishing this week was finals. So high schoolers had their finals, and then middle schoolers, their teachers had the option to give finals. So some did, some didn't. A lot of people had mixed feelings about the finals, but I'm glad that we're finally finishing the school year. And one thing to look forward to with the finals is that it's a representation of the beginning of summer. So that's one way to think of it positively. Well, that's it for my last report for the school committee of 2021 to 2022. Thank you all for being so kind and welcoming, and I hope you all have an amazing summer.
Can I add one recognition she didn't share in her report? So at the awards ceremony for 7 through 11, the 8th grade, staff of the 8th grade annually chooses the Harold P. Collins recognition, and that is the one person that the staff has viewed as being kind and helpful and a good citizen and going above and beyond sort of to make the school climate and culture better. And Delia Forts was the person selected for that award.
Well, it has been a pleasure getting to know you this year, and we are looking forward to having you back next year. So I just very grateful for just the sunshine that you brought to all of our meetings, even in the dead of winter this year, so thank you for that. And can you tell us what you're planning to do this summer? What are you looking forward to most?
Probably, honestly, I know this sounds a little geeky, but I'm looking forward to summer work because every summer I always get like sad and I'm like, oh, when is school gonna start again? I'm so bored. And so I'm looking forward to being able to read my summer reading books as well as my pre-AP like reading and chapter notes. I don't know, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, so you heard what I said, the robotics team, you get outside too, okay?
She can play on the beach.
Yeah, you can read your book on the beach. All right, well, thank you, Delia, and whenever you have to leave, feel free to go. We're just gonna continue on. Anyone else for Delia? All right, have a great summer, Annie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's see, I think we are, next we just have to approve the minutes for May 18th. Did anyone have any corrections, edits, or motions? Page 2 of your packet.
I move we approve the meeting minutes from Wednesday, May 18th, 2022.
Okay, a motion by Brian, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Kathy, any discussion? All right, Brian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So the minutes are approved. All right. These gentlemen have been waiting patiently since we started, and it is baseball time. So, Dan, are you going first?
Well, can they come up with me? Is that okay?
Of course.
And actually, Sean's a baseball player too, and
Sean's double dipping.
he double dipped.
Yes.
It's not just.
So he gets outside.
Yeah, he does get outside, yes, he does.
Sean wants to go home.
So Beth is coming up too. You grab the card. Yeah, we'll see.
That actually might come on in a minute or two, according to him.
Thank you for seeing us here tonight. I really appreciate it. I think in your packet you received the proposal, and I don't think I need to go through the whole thing with you. Hopefully it was self-explanatory. So what I'd like to be able to do is answer any questions you may have. You also have Eric Benke, who's a recent graduate who has gone down to Florida. Bill Baker, who went down the last time, went in 2019, and his son went with us twice. He was disappointed in 2021 because of the pandemic, because he'd been the first player to go 3 times. So he was disappointed about that, but he's been down there. Sean hasn't been down yet, but his brother Nate was down, and so he's a bit envious of that. So he can say whether he likes Texas or Florida better, hopefully, if we get approval. And you can see how articulate he is also. And then Mr. Treveri is here, of course, also supporting us for the trip. But I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may have with regards to the trip. As you know, that the trip is not funded by the town of Mashpee. Monies are raised by the students through fundraising, so that there's no cost for the town. The only thing is for your approval so that we can go down. The other thing I ask is we have some flexibility on the date when we leave, just because plane fares in April vacation can be exorbitant depending on when we leave. The last 2 times we left Mashpee High School around 4:45 in the morning to go down to Bradley International, so that's where we flew out of, because that's where the tickets came from. So, so we need a little bit of flexibility to be wonderful on that, so that we can get tickets to save a couple $100 anyway for the players and the parents. So I'll shut up now and I'll let you ask questions to myself or to anybody else that has actually gone on the trip.
Well, yeah, so I guess we'll start with, unless, Matt, you look poised to comment.
No, any question would be good.
Okay. I was gonna, let's start over here.
Sure, so to say everybody, I appreciate you guys, coming and hearing what we have to say about the Florida trip. But I guess I'd just like to say for me,
Can you
as...
introduce yourself, please?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm Eric Benke. I graduated just last, on the June 4th for my senior year, and I'm going on to play football actually at Endicott College this fall, so I'm excited for that. But I have been a member of the football team, track team, and baseball team for all my 4 years in high school here at Mashpee. And one of my favorite memories, I just by, beyond a shadow of a doubt is going on the Florida trip. I went as a freshman, and I was blessed. My brother, who graduated from Ashby in 2020, was a junior at the time. He was able to go too, and we both just had such an amazing time. It's such a skill building experience on the baseball level and on the kind of maturement level, and you couldn't ask for a better group of people to supervise that trip. Coach P and all the volunteer coaches, Coach Baker as well. Everybody that comes out of there is they're there for the students, and the students want to go. Like Coach P said, the families and the students fund them. Ourselves, we sell raffle tickets. We sell all these kind of stuff. We raise money, and it's because we want to go. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a forced trip or like we have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. No, we want to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and take a 3-hour bus ride to Connecticut or whatever to fly out of there. But it's a life-changing trip. It's fun. It's something that the kids will remember for their entire high school years and their entire life. And it's something that builds camaraderie. It builds teamwork, and it's just so beneficial for the kids. So I couldn't say more good things about it. I just love the trip and hope you guys approve. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good. You want to say anything? Introduce yourself first.
Yes, Bill Baker. I no longer have a child in the school. My last graduated last year, Will, and Cassandra graduated in 19. Through them, I got involved with the school, the boosters, the fundraising, with the Falmouth Road Race, and with the baseball. And I'm still around because these kids are worth it, and parents are friends of mine, and I'm somebody that I feel that can be there for representing them. And the trip to Florida was very more educational than I realized. It's kind of this facility is kind of a history museum of baseball, not just it was built because of for Jackie Robinson. At the time, there was no place for him to stay with the team, so the owner bought this facility and created some equality there. But more than that is also just in general baseball history and American history. And very fun time, very great group of kids, and I hope that we get your support.
Sean hasn't had the experience yet, so he wants it though. His name who's at UMass, has the advantage at the moment. So, Mr. Gray?
When I became the athletic director, Dan had already been doing this trip for quite a while. My concerns obviously as an athletic director and when there are tons of schools is a safety thing. Not better people to watch kids down there. Dan as assistant coaches, we have volunteer parents like Mr. Baker. It's constant. I mean, they're up very early. They're to bed. They get up. It's all baseball. It's all learning trips. But I think the biggest thing is when you leave, it's what you remember. It's what you take from it. It's the people that are around you. It's well run. I have no issues with it. I coached basketball for 11 years. Had an opportunity to KSA to go down to Orlando. No way was I doing that. I mean, trying to watch those kids for a week, it takes special people who are really tied in. It's a lot of work on their end. They're not probably enjoying as much as the kids are, but they do a great job. And it's something kids look forward to. Our numbers in baseball aren't tremendous anymore. We don't have 50 kids in a program at some point, which we did. And this is a way to keep kids tied in. It's a way to keep kids looking forward to things. They run a tremendous program. Dan does a great job. It's a tight program. So we, certainly the athletic department, we support it. There's no better person to run it, no better experience for our kids.
Great.
Did we dabble enough?
Yeah, that was a sufficient amount of babble. So I had a question as I was reading through everything, and I just had to flip through the pages again to check it. So what is it called Dodger Town?
It used to be called Dodger Town. That was the Jackie Robinson Training Complex. It was renamed. Actually, our baseball team was the last team to play on Holman Stadium before they kind of tore it down and redid it. That's the same field that Jackie Robinson and Danny Koufax and all the greats have played on. So that our kids actually played on those same fields. And I always tell them, that they might even stay in the same rooms that some of these greats have stayed in also. And again, it's a tremendous history there on the walls and just when you walk into the facility.
Yeah, I can see that.
I had a quick question. Is it just Mashpee? Do you guys train with other schools, or is it just Mashpee for that time?
No, we probably scrimmage anywhere between 7 and 9 scrimmages against teams from Vermont, New Hampshire, more than New England teams because they don't necessarily be able to go outside. And when we're out down there, one year we were during a heat wave when it was 85 plus, and the kids were complaining. I says, hey, it's better than being in the Mashpee. Don't you be complaining.
Yeah, no, that's great, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have, so this is the April vacation 2023.
Yes.
And let's see, it does specify on here that you're going to depart from Boston or Providence. I noted you said.
Well, I mean, it's where our ticket people get us the tickets. I work with a group that I worked with since 2011 that actually books colleges also. One of my former players who's a college coach put me in contact with them. So wherever they can find the best trip, we usually go JetBlue or Southwest. The last 2 times has been Bradley because that's where the best tickets came out of. I don't know because if we get approval, I'll contact them and then they'll start the ball rolling and they'll contact me as soon as we have. And again, with the way airfare and everything else is now, it's.
Yeah. And I'm very familiar with leaving on Thursday for break in order to get some good prices. So I think at this point I'm just looking for a motion by someone to approve the Mashpee Middle High School varsity baseball trip to Florida for April vacation 2020.
So moved.
All right, so I have a motion by Kathy. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Matt. Any further discussion? All right, Brian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Congratulations. It's unanimous.
Thank
Have
you very
fun.
much.
Thank you.
And it was worth watching Robotics people.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Wasn't bored at
What
all.
Sean's doing in his spare time.
Yes. And Amanda Howe, I worked with her before I retired, and she is the real deal. So you've been a very good person there, leading the charge.
Yeah.
Before you go, I didn't ask my brother, but you guys won the alumni game, right? Or did the old men win?
It's the odd years against the even years.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the alumni versus the current team.
No, it's the odd, we have alumni coming back from 2000 on.
I know my brother came down to play and I haven't seen him since, so I haven't had a chance to
Who's
ask.
your brother?
Jim West.
Oh, Jimmy, oh, yes,
So
yes.
I know he played and I didn't get a chance to
I
ask.
think he's still in the lounge chair at home because he's still sore.
What
year did you
graduate? 02.
Yes, yeah.
Who won? Evens or odds?
Evens won.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't go on.
Can't give him a hard time, no. It was a lot of fun. We try to do that every year, and it's the ball pool and alumni game, and we're gonna try to even elaborate, you could do a little more next year to get people involved, get kids back. Lenny Goldman, who you may know from town, he's the oldest, so he speaks last. But we have guys from 2022, and it's a great time. So it's gonna always be the Saturday or Memorial Day weekend, because kids come back. I call them kids. They come back to see their family down here in the Cape. So we want to come back and enjoy and be part of it. We have a cookout for them after. And
Oh, that sounds great.
so it's a great event. So
Well, I'll make sure Consuelo helps you promote that next year, because she can get some other folks in the community there. We can make it a real big event.
yeah, I was thinking even tennis or something else wanted to do the same thing at the same time. Becomes a bigger and bigger event.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Alumni callback, alumni sport day.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just wouldn't invite to lacrosse people. Is that on tape?
Well, thanks for coming in.
No, thank you for having us. Appreciate it. We have our baseball breakup, cook-up going on right now, too.
Oh,
So-
okay.
And that's where they're anxious to get over there.
Yeah, I got
Thank
you.
you.
Tandy, yes.
Ty, just a
Thank you.
nice one.
I think it's
Yeah, state one. There's no space for the
I'll just note the date that you voted. Well, we don't have a, without stage.
Okay. Okay, a little behind, but it's usually where Patty catches us up, so, report of the superintendent.
Okay, so you have enrollment page on, updates on, actually, first off, you do have the updated, ever popular COVID dashboard in front of you.
That's one of the
Keeps on giving. So you have, in the packet on page 12 is the enrollment, pretty steady all year long, 1485. And then on personnel, we haven't included yet, we have hired quite a few new people for the 22-23 school year, and they are going to appear in the January packet. It just seemed like they trickle, and I'd rather have them all in one place. But you can see some, these are end of the year actual resignations. In some cases, people have taken jobs to advance their career, some are moving out of the area. And so we are sad to see this group of people go. Ashley Edwards, Kaylee Green, Tim Hughes, Mike Patz, Rebecca Wheeler, and Taylor Marquardt. I will put a plug out there to all who are watching that we do need a new athletic trainer. And it seems that, those are rare individuals to get a hold of. And we've had wonderful ones, so hopefully we can find someone for Tim. And let's see, the stadium update. Oh, administrator reports. Oh, I did want to point out in the athletic report from Matt Treveri, just, baseball made it to the tournament. They did, I think they lost in their first game, but anyway, they made it to the tournament. The girls lacrosse team made it 2 games into the tournament. The boys lacrosse made it into the tournament 1 game. And just a shout out for the all-stars. Softball is Sophia Berganzi. Baseball is Colton Colleran, Robert Ryder, and Sean Fancher. Outdoor track is Haley Garcia, Hialeah Turner Foster. For outdoor track for boys is Daniel Murphy. For girls tennis, Miley Beal. For girls lacrosse, we had Julia Tenorio, Sam Moore, Samantha Mori, Kalia Eaton, and Ava Gonzalez. And then for all-stars for the lacrosse boys is Jack Howard and Caden Eaton. I think Nicole pointed out, when you go around the high school in the springtime, every field is just occupied with happy children running around and enjoying themselves. You have the outreach coordinators report in the packet. I did want to point out in volunteer engagement, Consuelo notes that 26 volunteers donated 123 hours to evaluating the senior projects, and some of the individuals I met up with in that process just pretty much raved about their interactions with our seniors. So it's nice to have, everybody seems to be sort of flowing back into the schools the way we like it to be at all 3 of our schools.
Yeah, and while you're talking about the outreach piece, I'd like to convey my appreciation to Consuelo. I mean, I feel like she's really sort of not just doing what outreach for the schools is, but she's really creating new relationships and new connections. And I was really pleased to see like the Indian Health Services added to the advisory board for the healthcare pathway, and just those, it's like kind of what we have with the robotics program. It's like if you have those people from the community that are connected to to our curriculum, it really just sort of enriches everything and sees the kids it helps the kids see how they can apply their skills, which is really cool. So thank you, Consuelo, wherever you are.
And she's very creative too. She's an outside the box thinker and just continually comes up with more strategies and more ideas. And it is about the schools, but she is really a community builder too. She really has the it factor in terms of generating connections with people and valuing those. We do have our principals here. Would Principal O'Brien like to say a word or two?
Sure.
Like 2 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. How about 1? I'll go very quick.
Okay.
Let's see. I have to get through the maze here. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you tonight. Just a couple things that are going on, and I think it's been great this year. We've had really nice transition opportunities. for our sixth graders who are heading up to the middle high school. We know they did the program of studies night earlier in the year, but they were invited up to the Alex Torres orchestra concert, and they were very excited. They were like, look, those middle school kids get up and dance. So they came back very excited, and they're really looking forward to it. Yesterday, they went up to the middle high school also, and they met with the athletics department and the coaches, and came back talking about, I'm going to play football, and I'm going to basketball, and I'm going to do baseball, and just to see what those opportunities were. They weren't so sure about the hot dogs at the high school, but it was okay. They also had lunch, and they knew how to navigate that. So it was a really good opportunity. So those are three really solid transitions for them, which I think is a great piece. And then to be invited up for the VEX program too is another opportunity. And then of course this summer they'll go for Jump Start, which is great. It was wonderful to welcome our second graders who are coming over very soon. They came for lunch yesterday, and they were very excited to come in. And it was funny. It was the first time we've had real trays, our normal plastic trays that go through the dishwasher, in 2 years. And so we taught those second graders how to do that, so when they come in September, they'll be ready to go. But then it was also retraining all of our other students. This is how we stack trays, circles to circles, squares to squares. It was just so funny to think about that. And one of the fifth graders said to me, we haven't done this since third grade. You know, it's just so funny to think about things we took for granted that are slowly trickling back to normal. So it's really been a nice piece. So other than that, we have a lot of things coming up. We have our field day coming up, recognition awards coming up. We have a concert coming up the last day of school. We did have our staff versus students floor hockey game, which was very exciting. We hadn't all been in the gym as a school together in 2 years, and that was really something. It was great to be back. And I just want to acknowledge our PTO as well as the Coombs PTO. We had a parent-staff kickball game. Deb, don't worry, we're taking care of that trophy.
I'm over
Oh,
here.
where are you? There you are.
Yeah, she's got the trophy and a picture.
So it was very nice. We have the trophy. We're going to hold on to that just like the basketball one we had. So anyway, it was really fun, and I do thank the PTO for the work they did putting that together. Because we couldn't do the back-to-school barbecue, this was a nice way to give back and get families together, and to recognize Mark Lawrence as well for coming with ice cream for the kids. People who attended, I think, were really happy. I saw Matt there.
Yep.
And it was just great to be out on a beautiful evening and really celebrating being together. So it was great. That's it, 2 minutes. Any questions?
Thank you.
I just want to add that Dean Melby, yesterday when the sixth graders were up there, did a good job of talking about the co-curriculars, and also Brian Carroll as the English department head. He spoke about some reading, they talked about the schedule, so it wasn't just athletics, but yes.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Well, Mary Kate said a whole bunch of things that I don't have to say now. And by the way, their team was stacked. You would agree, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, so the first grade took their very first field trip today to Brewster. Had a couple of bumps with the buses where they were supposed to go Monday, but it went off without hitch. Thank you to Steph Souza for organizing that. We are still in our ABC countdown to summer days. So today yesterday was Tooth Day, and it sounds silly, Tooth Day. But all the kids got a toothbrush and a little tube of toothpaste, and had to show us their toothy smiles. I know. Nerds everywhere, right? Kickball game, Oh, and there was also the, is it Smith Family Popcorn, is that what it is? Donated all the popcorn to us, so that was also nice. Yesterday, we had 16 second graders travel with Mrs. Crahan to the Mashpee Senior Center to sing a couple of patriotic songs for Flag Day, so that was kind of fun. Today we had our Good Manners Awards, and we started a new tradition for staff. Just looking to see who's really going above and beyond. They all go above and beyond, but even more above. So they're very difficult to come to decisions, but that went very well. And tomorrow, ST Math will celebrate the 54 children that finished every puzzle, or 3,500 puzzles throughout the year. Friday is Kite Day for first grade, and we had our field days, and we are just so busy. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, sounds fun. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
And, that's out of order. The next thing is the MMHS Stadium project, so I don't know if you've been by.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot happening.
I had a teacher at last night's concert tell me that his room like shakes, and are we having like earthquakes? And I said, well, when I leave the building, I often feel that the ground is shaking, but they have really heavy equipment out there that's banging into the ground, so I think that's what it is. But they're really moving along. Ashley went to the meeting today. I did not go to that, so I don't know if they're on.
We are on track. Some of the materials that we thought were going to be delayed have arrived. So they're feeling confident. We meet every week with the contractor, as well as Kathy from the DPW.
Great.
And the suggestion was made today that when the Executive Institute takes place with all the superintendents from across Massachusetts are there, maybe scheduling them a little visit to the field with Gale Associates as a way to promote the project for other districts that might be looking into it. But they're working, seems to be going pretty quick.
Yeah, do we know anything about the change order? I was at the selectmen's meeting and Catherine said there might have been a change order. It might come in less than we projected now or something.
So that change order I was not in a conversation about. We had to do another one for a conduit so we could have electricity on the other side of the field, so that one's being processed. But they haven't finalized the previous one that you're talking about, and it will come in, so once I get it, I'll let you guys know.
Okay, thank you.
But I think it was, one lease on the agenda was $4,000 less, so it's not large dollar amounts, but.
And the conduit was really a Sean Maroney addition because he wanted to be able to film from that other side of the field, and so by putting a conduit in, it would allow them to be able to do that.
Thank you, yeah.
Better to do these things now than after.
Yes.
It's not happening afterwards. Just quickly under other recognitions, we didn't talk about it yet, but I do want to give a shout out to Brian Carroll. He is currently the English department head at Mashpee Middle High School, but starting July 1, he will be the new assistant principal at the Quashnet School. So we were very happy that Brian has pursued, it's actually quite a rigorous process nowadays to become licensed as an administrator. And he's worked really hard this past year to do, check all the boxes, and he's very thorough and thoughtful. And so the work he has done, he worries about. I'm like, Brian, yours is like way up here, like in terms of you're too hard on yourself. So we're very excited. I know Principal Brian is very excited to be welcoming him. Sad for Mashpee Middle High School, but he'll be great with the kids. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Mashpee Commons because they put up the banners for our graduates. I don't know if you saw those, Hunter. It's on Center Street in the center part where you can actually walk. There's banners with multiple pictures of our graduates, and that was a totally Mashpee Commons project. We did not contribute to that other than the beautiful pictures of our students, but it was a very nice gesture on Mashpee Commons, a really generous way to celebrate our students and show how connected we are. So thank you, Mashpee Commons. And I think that's it. Under upcoming events, I did want to point out, I know Dalia did, but the Friday night concert, which generally we do not do music concerts on a Friday night, but as, the days, went away in the calendar and people were ill and all of the different reasons, it got pushed to the 17th. But it is a Grammy Awards focused concert, and if you've gone to any of Miss Mills' productions, they're really amazing what she gets our students to do, who are talented to begin with, but they're just very creative. Also a reminder, there's no school on Monday, it's Juneteenth is observed, and like I said earlier, the last day of school is next Thursday, June 23rd. It is a half day for students, which as you look on Twitter, people wonder why is it a half day for students? Parents wonder why it's a half day for students. But it's a half day because the teachers need that half a day to get themselves ready to leave. So, that's it. That is all
it is, more than once tonight, we have talked to Hunter, who is working the camera behind for Mashpee TV, one of our recent graduates. So if you hear us look at the camera and ask Hunter a question, that's why we're doing that. So Ashley, Director of Finance, is up next.
In your packet are the FY '22 updated reports. We are working on year-end close. We have this Friday's the second to last payroll, and July 1st will be our final payroll. Just as kind of an FYI, as you saw tonight with the retirements, there were more retirements than we expected this year. So I'm working on finalizing all the calculations and making sure we have money in the right accounts. So tonight, as a handout, you have a budget transfer that I request to be approved. And then there will be another budget transfer coming to you in July once I finalize the close process with our team in the business office. Another item to highlight in your packet is the COVID funding template. Patty sent out last week the dashboard that the state has put together. I did have feedback from one of the committee members asking why we haven't drawn down funds in certain line items. To date, we've been approved for our ESSER 3 funding, but we have not expended any of that money as we've allocated it for the HVAC project as well as summer programming that hasn't happened. With these funds, they're reimbursement, so at the end of each month, I request the allotment of revenue that I've spent, and then I project out how much I'll spend in the following month. So that's why there's not a lot drawn down to date. I just haven't used revenue yet. Do you have any questions for FY '22?
It's a kind of a general comment. I think I'd like to know what our annual budget is gonna be for graduation post-COVID. I feel like we kind of talked about that in the FY '23 budget. I know we settled on an amount, but I'm just curious what it was relative to this year. Is it stable? Is it less or more? I'd like us to kind of hold to a set amount for graduation and not have the number jump all over, but I also want to ensure parity from year to year and make sure that we're, everyone's getting equitable treatment. So, and I know it just occurred to me as I was looking through the budget transfer, so I don't need that right now, but that was just something to follow up with me on.
So I can speak to it if you want.
Okay.
We did budget a more consistent amount for FY '23. FY '22's budget was done in October of '20, so we were just getting into COVID and just doing the tents. So we've budgeted to have tents for FY '23. If that's something that we decide to move forward with.
Okay. Great, thank you. Anyone have any questions for Ashley?
I have a question, it's partially for Ashley and partially maybe for the superintendent. Just want a better sense of the Genius Academy. I see that we budgeted $160,000 for transportation, and that's coming out of, well, that's for both 22 and 23, right? So for 2 years, so that's 90,000 basically for each year.
So when we wrote this is based off when we wrote the grant, what we had done is we budgeted based on every student attending or every student needing that transportation, so running all 16 routes. We only ran 3 routes last year. So that cost ended up only being approximately $28,000 for last summer, so it was significantly less. We have not amended ESSER 2 yet, so that's why I have these numbers here, because that's what we have budgeted to be.
Okay, do we have an idea of how many students are going to be invited to the Genius Academy?
It was an open enrollment, the family signed up. I don't know how many students we have, but I have sent that information over to the bus company, and they're working on routes to provide me how many buses we'll need for the summer. I don't have that information yet.
It's the Falcon Discovery Camp.
Oh, it's not. That's what it's called now?
Yes.
I guess I'm curious, how many students,
How many falcons are we discovering?
how many students are taking advantage of that opportunity or being asked to take advantage of that opportunity?
We can get that, we have it on the spreadsheet. Christine Master-Giacomo is the coordinator for the Discovery Camp. We changed up the name only because the first half of the day is modeled, or not the day, first 2 hours or so, is modeled after the Genius Academy, which is sort of the passion project piece. Then the second part of the experience is more camp-like. So we kind of merged, the previous Camp Falcon, Genius Academy, and we created a new hybrid. It's 5 weeks, and the 5th week there's multiple field trips planned.
So right now, there's approximately 100 students signed up for the program, and we have about 65 of them requesting transportation to date.
That's covering what grades?
It goes, I think it initially was offered up through 8th grade, but I don't know that, I think anyone in 8th grade is generally sort of like a junior counselor model. There aren't too many at that grade level.
So third through eighth?
No, it goes as low as K.
Lowest K. All right, thank you.
Anyone want to make a motion on the budget transfer request? You can just use the number.
Make a motion that we approve budget transfer 2202 in the amount of $48,000.
No,
No, it's really on the bottom.
Oh, I'm sorry. $331,942.29.
Okay, motion by Don. Second by
Second.
Brian. Any discussion? All right, Brian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Don?
Yeah.
Matt?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you, Ashley. And you can get time outside after the budget's closed out. All right, so next on the agenda is the subcommittee working group updates. So the finance working group, which is myself and Kathy, met with the superintendent and Ashley earlier this week. And the main issue is because of the closeout this year, just the handling of what to put against choice, and there is excess that we have to return. We plan to return some of that to the town, so we were kind of talking about this HVAC project again, which is what you're looking at in front of you. And I don't know that I'm comfortable enough to walk everyone through these different options. Ashley, do you want to do that?
Sure. So this is going off of the March meeting when we started this conversation about the HVAC upgrades. Currently, we have funding to support the KCC upgrade. We could, as a school department, fund the entire project with our school choice funding and our ESSER funding. That being said, we would deplete the funds close to our floor and potentially could be spending current year funds in the year we receive them. With conversations as things have evolved, we've talked about doing kind of a whole town view of the HVAC and talking about going to town meeting and having it bonded. So that would include our 3 buildings, town hall, and potentially any other town building that needs upgrades to HVAC. That's kind of in the option C category, which is new to you tonight. We've been talking all along, we are waiting for an updated feasibility study for Coombs. That project was at $3.9 million initially. It's going to reduce because there were some areas that they had initially scoped that we do not want to move forward with, they're not necessary. And they also have put in the scope having like individualized thermostats in each room. And that's not something that really makes sense for a school building. So as you can see in option C, we have a range from 14.5 million all the way to 20 million. There were 3 options for each of the schools that were presented to us. These 3 options also range from different starting points. If we were to fund the project, we would still go through CIP, but because this funding is already available to us, we could start the project sooner. in option 1. Option 2 shows, it's a little bit of a hybrid. It has, as you can see, funding from ESSER 3 and then Mashpee CIP. Again, that would wait until town meeting, and that would delay the start of the project into FY24. And then option C would be a bond through the town, and that would also start in FY24. So these are kind of the 3 options. There are definitely a range of options that we could move forward with.
You're not looking for a decision from us tonight because we don't have final numbers, but we just kind of wanted to give you guys the situation at present. I think we've moved off the idea of emptying all the coffers because it would not, it would affect the offset for FY24. We'd have to spend pretty much everything we have, leaving not much of a safety net, and we wouldn't have any funds to offset for the next school year budget, which the town manager is not a fan of. He really would rather see us offset and keep and go to CIP for fund, follow the process for capital, which is, and you can see all of these options require some funding through CIP.
And I want to just kind of add a little bit more to that. No matter what option we do, we will follow the CIP procedure for the town of Mashpee. That's anything over $25,000. We go to the committee and seek approval for it. It's really just the funding source, and if we have to get something bonded, or if they're going to use their CIP allocation, or if they're going to go to free cash. And that's very consistent with what we did this year with the turf project. We had 2 funding mechanisms to support that project. If we do go through and request funding from the town, we would also request it to be during special town meeting, whether that be in October or in May. So if it's in May town meeting, it would be accessible right after town meeting, just like the turf project, so we could start in June and not have to wait until July 1st.
And just, I was just gonna add one more thing on this. You also notice that in each option for the FY23 offset, it's listed at $1,054,198, which the school committee did not vote to approve that additional $400,000. So this is kind of a conservative estimate, but we don't, if our expenses end up being higher than what we got from the town, then we are gonna have to dip into those choice funds. So just note that that's the same in all 3 scenarios. Okay, sorry Patty, go ahead.
All I was going to say is that in all 3 scenarios, we are targeting to use that prior year's choice revenue. So you can see that in all of them. And then obviously the prior year plus the $400,000 for FY23 that the town managers decided. And so I just want to make sure that we are doing our best to apply the school choice program funds against the operating budget 1 year in arrears from when we earn the money.
Any questions or discussion by the committee? It's really just an update at this point. We still need a bit of information before there's anything for us to vote on in terms of choice.
And Catherine and I are meeting weekly, so it's an ongoing conversation about when this feasibility study will be updated and provided to us, and once I have it, I'll be able to share with the committee. It might be something that we talk about during the retreat this summer. It might give us a little more time.
Yeah.
So I just have a question. So in option B that you've outlined here, where you would request, I guess, an additional $900,000 roughly as part of the CIP process, then that would leave that additional $900,000 in school choice what year is it? FY24, right? That's what you're talking about, FY24. And addition to then the current year, so we would still have, I guess, we would have 900 plus the current, or the prior year, so we'd have almost $2 million in school choice.
We have,
Well, down at the bottom, 13,
Right.
1,339,000.
Okay, the one,
yeah, so option B is really, throughout the process, we've had conversations with the town, and the town manager is not fully in support of using school choice funds for CIP projects, right? So that's been something he said. So option B is really showing that we wouldn't use any school choice funds to offset the project, and it would all come from Mashpee's CIP.
right, but, so therefore, in essence, it would leave basically an equivalent amount for the school to contribute from choice funds to the FY '24 operating budget, correct?
24 and then going out to 25.
Subsequent, yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't question an offset in 25. 25 is really when it would,
There wouldn't be any money left, right?
yeah,
It only pushes that one more year.
correct.
When you, wait, so not that there wouldn't be any money left, it's just because we're still, option 2 is the only one that allows us to kind of stay in that arrears posture.
They, right now, so we had a third option before and that depleted everything. This at least gives us always that 250,000 floor. And because we, to date, haven't spent all of our choice funds for FY '22, we have that little bit of a buffer there too. So I don't think we'll ever, I won't say ever, I don't think in the foreseeable future we would not be able to offset the operating budget by some amount. But it depends how aggressively you want to pursue supporting the HVAC project out of school choice.
Well, put it differently, if you take $1 million plus out of that, that's more than
Yes.
what's coming in,
Correct.
right?
Right now, we're projecting to receive $711,000 in FY '23.
Right, so that million, right, so, okay. So if that was consistent and didn't change, which I can't believe will be the case, you're just buying a couple more years then before you deplete that excess.
Yes, if we took,
If we continue to take out school choice in excess of
Right.
what we receive, correct?
But continue, that's not what we're doing now.
That's what we're doing for FY '23.
Well, that's what we think we may have to do, but right now, we haven't had to do that yet. We haven't had to spend in excess of what we took in the previous year, which is why we have this balance, yeah.
Right, but going forward, starting with FY '23, we are taking out in excess of what we're receiving.
That's not what you voted for. We'll have to see what happens.
No, it's not what I voted for, but based on, that we've got $1 million coming out to offset the operating budget, and we have $700,000 coming in, we're gonna take $400,000 that we had away. If that continues every year, or increases every year, at some point, we run out of that excess.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
won't
I
be
guess
able to
that-
allocate more than the excess. I think what the posture that we want to convey to the town manager is we are perfectly willing to offset our budget to the amount that we expect to take in the previous year. And, this is anomalous. If we end up having to take out $1 million in choice to offset operating next year, that would be a huge anomaly. That is only possible because of COVID. And so I think we just need to make that very clear.
and we could see trends like that, considering this year we had such a spike in retirements, and we could see that for another year with people retiring that we weren't planning on.
Right. Okay. All right. So I see next for new business, we are, any other questions, Matt and Kathy?
Just before we leave this, so one of the big unknowns, right, is still that study is supposed to be completed,
The
correct?
feasibility study. So it's been completed, but there were some requests for changes to it, and we're waiting on those changes.
Okay.
And no one seems in any hurry to get them to us, because everyone's so busy.
We're kind of in the pipeline of every other town and school building. We're looking to use ESSER funds to upgrade their HVAC systems.
Okay, so new business, I see, school lunch prices, but do I have anything for
You
this?
don't, and I'm sorry, can we table that to the next meeting? We, as you all probably know, there's a tool that requires us, it's required of the district to update every year to assess where our school lunch prices are. We are below what the requirement is. So we only have 1 week left of school, and it's still a free program. So I'm going to table that for the next meeting, if you don't mind, and provide you with a request for FY '23.
So we're going back to regular lunch pricing next year.
As of right now.
Okay. So what do we have to do to this? We don't table it. What do we do? I almost forget this, Robert's rules. This is when I wish I had Jeff Gorman here. But because we want to just postpone it to the next meeting. Do you think you'll have it by the next meeting? So we just take a motion.
I make a motion to lay on the table the school lunch prices.
It's different.
Until the next meeting.
Yeah, until the next meeting.
I'll second that.
All right, and Matt seconds. All right, any discussion? Okay, Brian?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Yes, I vote yes as well. Okay, then you also have some information in here about the annual conference, it always takes place in November. They're offering this end-of-year reduced rate, which is about $100 savings for each. But I don't think this can come out of this year anyway. So
It could be, but it could be,
Still
you could
saves us.
register before the next meeting.
Yeah, it
You know,
saves us $500.
Yeah.
We were all gonna be going. There is a theme for this year on promoting equity, diversity, and inclusion, which is obviously a huge priority for us. So I guess we should let Sherry know if you want to be registered for that. And, you don't have to attend every session, or, typically you sort of pick the things that you want. And I always find it very interesting that you have to identify the meals that you're going to eat in 8 months or 6 months or something. So I always have Sherry, or before you, Gail, remind me what I signed up for when it comes. So we'll get that to you, Sherry. Thank you for putting that. And the deadline for the early bird is by when?
July 5th.
Oh, okay, so we have, but let's try to do it by the 1st or something, by the end of this month, so we're
If you can do it by the 1st, we're doing a lot of registrations on the 1st, Darlene, so, we get that all set up there.
All right, and then, do you want to talk about the Summer Institute? Oh, the Summer Institute. So, I hesitate to ask this question, but have all the new members done the training, or like the charting the course?
I have to jump on that, yeah.
You
I
have
got
to
delayed.
jump on
I
it?
need to jump on it because I should have gotten it.
So you haven't done it yet?
Yeah, same, I had to reschedule.
Okay, so, buckle down and do that. The Summer Institute is, there are a couple things that I think are sort of germane. It's very inexpensive, and it would just be like one-night hotel if you want. It's kind of a hike to go out to Marlboro. And they start pretty early Saturday morning. So if you want to do that, then I would think that this is very timely in terms of letting Sherry know as soon as possible. I love the idea of some of these topics, but I don't like the idea of leaving Cape Cod in July.
On a Friday.
On a Friday. Yeah. So I'm putting my thought into that right now.
One quick question question on that, where the Saturday, the first session is student advisory committee. This is solely for voted in members, correct? This isn't the student, because there is, I know Mass offers student advisory.
No, this is
Workshops.
for school committee members
Yes, okay.
about the student
Okay.
advisory committee, yeah.
Alright, but I just wanted to make sure. Because I know I've seen the
Yeah.
student ones also, and I think it would be beneficial.
Anyway, if you can, if you're at all on the fence, you know, how I got involved with MASC was through a lot of these opportunities to learn, and it really is fun to meet your peers in other districts. They usually get really good attendance at these things. You know, there are over, I don't know, 500 school committee members across the state. I mean, it's a huge group of us, and then when you go to the conference, you know people. It's a chance to represent MASH-P, so think about it. Okay, next item, the one item that I had that Sherry was kind enough to, you heard Patty mention earlier, I just wanted to do a thank you letter for the Commons for the recognition of our graduates, and also, you know, all the great things we've been able to do with We Are MASH-P, which are referred to somewhat generally in here, and I was wondering if you guys want to sign this with me, or whether you'd like it to come just from me. Do you have any?
There's two versions there, so.
Yeah, it's the same letter.
I'll sign it.
So, dear Mr. Renz and team, on behalf of the Mashpee Public Schools, our students and our families, we thank you for recognizing and celebrating the class of 2022 with the beautiful banners that are displayed along Center Street at Mashpee Commons. We're grateful for your continued support. Our partnership with the Mashpee Commons has greatly enriched our schools and Mashpee community. We often say it's great to be in Mashpee, a connected community. The Mashpee Commons is one of the reasons why. With gratitude, the Mashpee School Committee. So I'll sign this one and pass it down. And then I assume we don't have any more public comment.
Sorry to interrupt, did you want to talk about August 10th as a potential?
Oh, thanks. I had that on my list but forgot to mention it. So looking ahead, one of the things we said we were going to come back to was the retreat, and so we have meetings in, let me pull my calendar up.
July 20th.
Yeah, so July 20th is our next meeting. And then we have a meeting on the 17th of August. So ideally, we would be doing the retreat before that, since after that, we start school on the 31st this year, convocations 28, 29, so. Excuse me?
29, 30,
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, 29, 30. So, so what we were hoping to do was schedule something, ideally it would be on the 10th, or if that doesn't work for everybody, we could do it that week of the 8th on a different day. And I'd like to propose that we do something in the morning. I wanted to see if that might work for everybody, and then have a lunch and call it. And I'm thinking we can try to do this. We either do the work up in one of our buildings and then go to lunch in the Commons, or find a location in the Commons to do the whole thing and then just walk over to lunch. So if you can tell me that you're already good on the 10th, that would be great. What about you, Don?
Nothing more.
Okay.
Which is very.
10th works for me.
Okay. Ryan?
Good.
Oh, holy crap, that's like the easiest that's ever gone in my 5 years. Hurry up, book it. So are we thinking like a 9? I'd hold like 9 to 1 if we're including lunch.
9 to 1 including lunch.
Yeah. And then we'll get you exact times later. And also, if you have any particular topics that one of the things that I've talked to Patty about already was having sort of a budget cherry sheet tutorial. I don't know if you know that yet, Ashley, but We're coming for you, so I hope you have the morning of the 10th.
Does the 10th work for you?
I do have a track meeting at 10 a.m.
Okay, well, that's okay, we can whip around that. Yeah. And if we're up at the high school, that might be,
We can just look at the track.
yeah, we can.
See where we are.
Okay, all right, so let's plan on that, and I think that is everything we have. Is there anything else that, so now we just need a motion to go into executive and reconvene.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn public meeting and enter executive session in order to conduct negotiations with non-union personnel or conduct collective bargaining session and reconvene in public meeting.
Okay, motion by Kathy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Brian. Any discussion? All right, Brian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. We're adjourned.